If it were me, I'd want to go first, right? I would want to go first, and she's had to sit and watch everybody go for 2 weeks or something. What do you think? Would you go first if you could?
I would be in the middle, I think.
Okay, that's good. That's better. Okay, so I really enjoyed teaching Dea. She's always full of insight and great commentary on our literature as well as our rhetoric. She says, I would like to thank God, my figure to lean on, my comfort and all. My mom and dad, who I'd like to clarify are not tiger parents, for their unrelenting love and support. It's a good thing that you clarified that. My friends, my day ones who went through unimaginable lengths to support me. I love you all. My classmates watching, I gave out pins congratulating them on surviving thesis. Now it's my turn at last. Ms. Regina, my advisor, for incredibly helpful and insightful guidance, bringing life to my thesis. You were great. The teachers that helped me overcome the fear of thesis, Mrs. Denise, Miss Anita, Mr. Zorn, Mr. Joel, Mr. Hans, and those I may forget to mention. This thesis was made possible because of you. My wonderful panelists for picking my topic. I hope we have a fruitful discussion. And Mr. Wade, my Wordle buddy, for your endless panicked patience facing everyone's thesis. There was a bit of a panic, I have to say, including mine, which reminds me that I got Wordle today in... I got it in 4. So you beat me today. Okay. So let's get started. Dea's title is Let the Tiger Go Extinct, Why Tiger Parenting is Dangerous. I'll get the timer set up and I'll tell you when you can start. All right, you can start when ready.
A glimmering trophy case, filled from top to bottom. First place certificates, gathering dust. Forgotten. Tear-stained homework piled up on a desk. Welcome to the Tiger Parent household. Come in. Don't forget to take your shoes off at the entrance. Go on. Take a seat. I've been meaning to talk to you. How's your little one doing? Oh, struggling with math, you say? My child could never. She has straight A's, a 4.0 GPA. Not to mention, she can play the piano, speak fluent Chinese, and she's the captain of the basketball team. What's that? You heard that my child struggles with her mental health? She's depressed and burnt out, you say? What kind of nonsense is that? What? You're suggesting that she goes to therapy? No way. She has far more important things to do. I'm sorry. You need to get out. This is a snippet in the daily life of a tiger parent. Of course, what's not pictured here is the daughter, working tirelessly to please her mother and father. In this scenario, she's voiceless. She's set aside. Her mother doesn't pay any attention to the pressing issue of her worsening mental health. Her father doesn't realize the silent warning signs, the bags under his daughter's eyes, her thinning figure, or the slow, tired way she speaks. This is the reality of having tiger parents. This is their reality of being overworked and underappreciated. How did we get to this point? Family itself has been a constant throughout the evolution of humanity. We saw the ever-changing shift of power structures, the rise and fall of monarchies, feudalism, countless hierarchies built and destroyed until, finally, modern societal structures allowed for people to pursue their interests and goals without paying heed to their familial backgrounds or connections. This is the basis for the birth of tiger parents. The term itself was first mentioned in a 2011 book by Amy Chua, titled The Battle Hymn of the Tiger Mother. In the book, she talks about being a tiger parent and how this type of parenting has allowed her young daughter to excel in numerous fields. But what are tiger parents exactly? Well, they earned their names from their tiger-like ferocity in raising children. Out of the four main parenting types, namely authoritarian, authoritative, permissive, and neglectful, they are most similar to the authoritarian parent, characterized by being highly demanding of their kids, often referred to as tough love. What are some characteristics of the tiger parent? First, they are mainly prevalent in Asian societies. It's derived from ages-old Chinese Confucianist teachings and often brought over by immigrant parents as a means to help them survive in the ultra-competitive hustle culture environment of their new lives. Tiger parents are also primarily focused on academic fields, but they are not exclusive to it. What makes a parent become a tiger is the fact that they view success as the end-all, be-all, almost to an obsessive extent. They would do anything to create this success in their child, whatever it takes, often to the detriment of their own child. As such, it becomes important for us to dissect exactly what the tiger parenting method entails: the good, the bad, and the ugly. What is at stake if someone finds out that this parenting style does more harm than good? The risk is plain and clear. When tiger parents cross the line, they may lose the integrity of their household entirely. And in such intimate family circles, there are rarely mechanisms in place to protect the child, especially if the parents are the ones inflicting harm. What's more, official interventions are few and far between, as tiger parents toe the line between abuse and discipline, which impedes the ability of governmental bodies such as Child Protective Services or the Indonesian Komnas Perlindungan Anak from interfering. From that, I believe that tiger parenting is a dangerous parenting profile because it harms all parties of the household, the parent and the child. It's also damaging on a much larger scale, namely the worldview itself. First, let's discuss how tiger parenting has detrimental effects on children. Tiger parenting itself requires an investment that does not guarantee worthwhile returns. By nature, this parenting style demands a lot of sacrifice. Oftentimes, it's like this. Parents spend their money on numerous after-school lessons in order to cultivate their children's skill, and their children spend most of their time honing these skills. However, often there is not enough consideration on the limits of their own children. Parents often don't ask their kids, "Can you handle this extra load of work?" Over and over, tiger cubs are thrown into deep waters with little regard for their own well-being. In the kids' perspective, their only options are to sink or swim. And once they sink, they may never come up for air. If that happens, all the money that went into the lessons and tutors go down the drain. Thus, the tiger parent's investment is a gamble at best. Moreover, it is also harmful towards this child's psychological well-being. Children are not used to handling big responsibilities like adults are, and as such, can't respond well when faced with the extra burden. This leads to them being burnt out, which is the feeling that comes from being overworked, leading to feelings of detachment in schoolwork. Think of it like this. A computer will overheat if it's pushed too hard. And if this happens too often, its performance will drop. The same is true for children. And research finds that they can be at risk of burnout even from a primary school age. Try to imagine for a moment a third grader, a 9-year-old, having to cope with the repercussions of burnout. It eats them up from the inside. It can ruin a person. But the impact of tiger parenting doesn't end there, because being subjected to this parenting style will affect their kids' future integration into society. The aftermath of tiger parenting is not short-lived. It will come to haunt the children in many ways. Tiger cubs grew up knowing that they're valued for what they do, being taught that their value lies in their achievements. This causes them to have an unstable sense of self and thus hyperfixate on achievements to attribute an identity to themselves. Because of this, the children cope in different ways. They may perpetuate the cycle and become tiger parents themselves. They may turn to alcohol or illegal substances for comfort. Or one particular case depicts how a Tiger Cub became so resentful towards her parents that she hired hitmen to assassinate them. In any case, the impacts of tiger parenting can be everlasting. It's capable of intruding upon their kids' lives even after the claws have loosened their grasp. But what about the parents' perspective? This leads to my second argument, which is that tiger parenting is parent-focused and not child-focused. Children are especially perceptive and highly impressionable towards their parents' expectations. Tiger parents, consciously or not, exploit this fact and pile on lots of ambition on the kids. They're often highly involved in the children's lives, but this over-involvement seems to have a hidden agenda. They wish to ensure the fulfillment of their personal ambition, not their kids. This causes tiger parents and their cubs to have a unique but damaging dynamic. The relationship revolves around the usage of success and achievements as a basis for love and care. One psychologist asserts that it actually shows a narcissistic side of tiger parents, stating how adult kids raised by narcissistic parents lose themselves while trying to gain love from parents who don't have the capacity to give unconditional love and empathy. The tiger parenting method also conforms to toxic Asian bragging culture. Many Asian children have tasted the robust comparison culture, hearing, "Look at the neighbor's kid, she is so successful," or "Be careful, I heard recently that someone your age dropped out of school and is now homeless." These comparisons actually come from a place of profound fear. Another psychologist identifies 3 of them. Fear that a child becomes unsuccessful in a hyper-competitive world, that their failures reflect their parents' inadequacies, or that their future security depends on perfection. These fears become the fuel that drive the tiger parent to roar, becoming increasingly harsh on their children. On the other hand, there's also the practice of self-praise or self-bragging. A journal by Mary Shin Kim reveals how, in many Asian households, academic and occupational achievements are highly valued and considered to reflect on one's entire family, particularly the parents. This distinct feature of Asian culture may become a supporting reason why tiger parents become tiger parents. As the transactional habits of parents sharing their children's achievements become ingrained in their day-to-day lives, it becomes increasingly important for the children to achieve more. In the end, their achievements may boil down to mere conversation pieces. All of their hard work to, again, fulfill the parents' personal ambitions, their egos. From this, we can see how tiger parenting achieves the opposite effect. Tiger parents push their children to the extreme, partly because they wish to see their kids succeed in the places they once failed. Tiger parenting is particularly shaped by the trauma of experiencing failure. It is, in some parts, a trauma response, a fail-safe mechanism to ensure that their kids don't fall short in the same places they once did. However, because their children don't share the same experiences, they fail to understand the reasoning behind their parents' impossibly high expectations. Let's say that there are 3 generations to an immigrant family. The first one started from nothing. They had to build their lives and their business from the ground up. They teach their children the importance of success and hard work through tiger parenting. The second generation grew up using these conditions. But as their lives became more settled and more comfortable, they start to forget what hard times even felt like. As the third generation comes in, they no longer share many similarities. They fail to understand the hardships that their parents or grandparents once experienced, and as such, fail to understand why we have to live in survival mode. Tiger parenting them will not toughen them up, but instead cause hurt and confusion over a disconnect in experiences. As such, it fails to achieve the intended effects. The third reason why tiger parenting is dangerous is that because its values and teachings promote a dangerous worldview. First, it's promoting a materialistic perspective. Let's recall the tiger parents' origins, namely Confucianism, and its beliefs in moral values, harmonious relationships, spiritual connection, and self-cultivation. This belief didn't always agree with materialism and its preoccupation with the material world. Actually, during the worldwide shift to an ever materialistic society, they initially clashed with one another. But eventually, there happened an acculturation of the two worldviews, leading to the maintaining of Confucianism for heritage while holding onto materialism for survival. This is what tiger parenting is rooted in. Their obsession with pushing their kids to chase materialistic highs don't provide a stable foundation. It's like the tiger parent invests in the wrong things. They swear by academic and intellectual achievements, prestige, and financial stability. Let's see how all three are deeply shallow and cannot provide a concrete foundation for happiness and fulfillment. Don't we all agree that life draws sustenance from something deeper? As Matthew 4, verse 4 famously states, "Man shall not live by bread alone." This leads to my second point, being that tiger parenting is rejected by the Bible. The Bible outwardly rejects the pursuit of a materialistic life, as outlined in 1 John 2, verse 15 until 17. Do not love the world or the things in the world. Tiger parenting survives on the chase for worldly achievements. It values the exact thing that the scripture warns believers to be worthless. Tiger parents perceive worth from an external success instead of a person's internal inborn values. And so, their views contradict Christian teachings. Still, some might argue that tiger parenting works. Many parents are tigers who have raised successful children. If it's not broken, don't fix it, right? Well, the fact is that tiger parenting is not as successful as it was made out to be. A study that uses a sample of 20,000 middle school students in mainland China discusses the impact of different parenting styles on children's cognitive and non-cognitive skills. The results are as such. When ranked against other parenting profiles, such as permissive and authoritative, tiger parenting ranks the second lowest in cognitive skills. Tiger parents also prove to harm children's non-cognitive skills too. In simple terms, tiger cubs may grow up to have no book smarts or street smarts. These data then determine a definitive outcome. Tiger parenting does not work. Success stories may arise, and some parents may promote being tigers. But to put things in perspective, if a medicine has a success rate of 1 in 100, can you really say that the medicine works? Others may argue that success needs to be fought for, and tiger parents should instead be praised for taking charge and driving their kids to do better. They argue that hardship should be endured in order to see results, and as such, justify the tiger parenting method. However, we must also consider the limitations. How far can a parent push their child before it becomes unacceptable? This argument proves to be tricky because some parents' methods border on abuse. Max Verstappen, a 4-time Formula One world champion, shares how, as a child, his father once left him in a gas service station after an unsatisfactory result in a karting race. Can we, in good conscience, justify his father's actions? Did leaving Max at a gas service station directly make him a better racer? And so, I say that there is no amount of success that can be justified under the kid's continuous suffering. In this thesis, we have discussed why tiger parenting is a dangerous parenting style. First, it damages both sides of the parent-child relationship. children who face immense pressure from their parents' expectations will start to face real repercussions. Their mental health takes a hit. They live each day only to survive the everlasting cycle of working to death, studying to the point of exhaustion, practicing until their bodies drop. They become numb. And parents wonder why their kids are straying away from them when really it's just the natural response. We instinctively move away from the things that hurt us. Parents often don't realize that they are the ones that are actively providing bricks for their children to build a wall, separating them. However, this argument dives deeper than the fact that the tiger parenting method damages familial relationships. Tiger parenting has essentially been doomed from the start because it is built upon a worldview that corrupts. When we peel back the layers of the tiger parent, materialism lies at its core. This is dangerous and alarming because materialism is entirely shallow. It does not address the fact that as humans, we need something more than what the world offers. Again, not by bread alone. Tiger parents and materialism, they value the exact thing that is only existing in the world. They ignore their children. The tiger parenting relationship reflects materialism as a whole. So, what happens when we finally let go of tiger parenting? An emptied trophy cabinet, a home filled with the warmth of love, a relationship restored. The door for reconciliation is still open. Start by talking to your parents. Make them understand your struggles. Start by listening to your kids, and I mean really listening. I'm here to say that it's not too late to turn back. Clip the claws of the tiger and dull down their fangs. Let them go extinct. Reject tiger parenting. Thank you.
All right, great job, Dea. We've got our two panelists, Miss Amanda and Miss Viola. Let's start with Miss Amanda.
All right. Thank you, Dea. I was captivated by your speech. It was really amazing. And I can tell you're really passionate about this. So I experienced tiger parenting childhood. So yeah, I can resonate with a lot of things that you explained earlier. So, but I would like to ask something that is probably a little bit contradictory to the things that you mentioned. So, first things, it seems to me that you were expecting a lot of, like, you expected a lot from the parents as well, right? To be parents who are caring yet disciplined, and then this is, if I imagine myself being a parent, I think this is a high pressure as well for the parents to be perfect, like perfect parents who will always know what their kids need and who will always be able to know what to do. Whereas parents being parents, it's also their first time being parents too. So my question is, how far can you leave room for imperfection in our parents? And then, yeah, because parents, they are humans, they're sinful, they're full of flaws, and it's probably only natural for them, for some, to become tigers because of those sinful natures. So, yes. So how far can you leave room for imperfections for the parents?
So, thank you for the question. In the second proof specifically of my thesis, I focus on the parents' perspective. And in it, I state how a lot of it comes from generational knowledge. For example, my parents taught me to be this way, so I will teach my kids to be this way also. It also comes from the fact that there is no all-inclusive guide on parenting. So there's no way of, oh, this book teaches you how to be a good parent, and once I read it, I will become a good parent. So I leave room for the fact that it's parents also first time being parents and my first time being a kid also. So there should be a compromise between the parent and the kid because parenting and family is, I would say, the most intimate form of circle in our life. And I would say that if you think that what you're parenting is damaging your child, for example, you're pushing them too hard, you don't have to keep pushing them. You can ask the child for their perspective. For example, if I ask you to do this, is it too much? Because asking the kids also for their opinion on things will cause these imperfections to slowly fade over time. Because tiger parents are entirely focused on being highly demanding, so their energy is focused on being, okay, my kid has to do this, has to do this, has to do this, but there is no energy left for being understanding towards the kids. So in a sense, these imperfections can actually be healed when you actually communicate with the child. That your trauma from being, for example, tiger parented, or the trauma from experiencing failure, you can communicate them with the kids and you can figure out a way together. It's not you versus your kids, but you guys together against the problem that exists.
Oh, the last statement is good, really good. Like you and the parents and the kids together fighting the problems. And thank you so much for the answer. And my second question is, if you can suggest and describe based on your experience or based on what you have heard maybe from your friends, can you describe the kind of parenting that you think is right?
Okay. So actually, in my narratio, I described the 4 main parenting types. There is the authoritarian, which is the tiger parenting one. There is authoritative, permissive, and neglectful. So we can actually simplify these 4 parenting styles by putting them on a spectrum. If it's neglectful, they are low demand and low response. By its nature, they neglect their children. They don't care about the children. But for permissive, permissive is high in response but low in demand. For example, oh, my kid wants to do this. I can't say no to them. Just let them do what they want. On the other end of the spectrum is authoritarian, which is what the tiger parenting is most close to. It's characterized by being high demand, low response. So the middle way is the authoritative parent, which is high demand, but also high in response. So it's okay for you to expect your kids to achieve certain things because we all want our kids to succeed. And as kids also, we would like to succeed. But it's important to also support them when they fail. It's important to let them know that their identity does not lie in achievements. So at the end of the day, if, for example, they get a bad grade in a math test, they can come and cry to you instead of crying alone in their room and let that feeling become something deeper.
Thank you. So in short, you involve love in the parenting and also communication while also involving discipline also. Okay, thank you. And then last question, do you think there is a certain age range why when you can apply certain kind of parenting and then, for example, probably if you want to be able to communicate with your child, if your child is still around 0 to 5 or 6, probably it's not really, you can only discuss until such extent. Do you need a certain kind of parenting in that stage of age? And then when the kid gets older, do you think there is a certain, like a different kind of parenting, or just there is this authoritative, wait, is it the right term? Authoritative parenting can apply for all age range of kids.
So I agree that from a small age, for example, like I said, 0 to 5, I would say that it's not more to, oh, you have to be an authoritarian parent if your child is small, but it's more like you have to lead them by more discipline. Because 0 to 5 is the crucial time for you to, like, quote unquote, feed your child what it needs to grow up well. For example, 0 to 5, you learn how to shake hands with good manners, using the right hand, respecting your elders, etc. And so when you plant these values in their kids from young age, as they get older, for example, a teenager age, you can more or so kind of like hands off on them, because you know that that you planted these values and then they are blooming when they are in a teenager age. Therefore, you don't have to like guide their hand throughout the evolution of their whole childhood. I agree that when you have a younger kid, you have to be stricter, because you're like, oh, you can't do this, you can't do that. But it's not expecting them to achieve a certain height, because tiger parenting, for example, as I said before, the children are highly impressionable. They're highly perceptive to what their parents want, even though maybe they don't fully understand it yet. If you plant the seed of like, the only thing that matters in this world is that you become successful, everything else aside from that does not matter, then even from a young age, even from 5 years old, their children will anticipate that. They will grow into that mindset, and it will become harder to erase.
All right, thank you. So I can, my takeaway is that methods can change, but what underlies should be the values that is instilled in the child.
intention, yeah.
Yes. Thank you. Good job. And now.
All right. Thank you, Miss
Miss Viola.
Amanda. Miss Viola.
Hi, Dea.
Hi, Miss.
Okay, so congratulations for bearing these 10 days of waiting and just watching the rest of your friends. And here you are as our last presenter. So reading your papers, when I read your papers, it made me think like, ooh, if they write a book, I would buy and read her book, right? Listening to your speech, while listening to your speech, it made me think like, oh, I wish we could have the Indonesian subtitle for your speech, so more parents would listen to this and more parents would understand this. So excellent job there. You should be proud
Thank
of yourself
you.
for that one, yeah? So now, so I can see in your paper that you have talked in a psychological perspective, social perspective, some biblical perspective, and also a little bit philosophical and historical. You brought it in your statements of facts. Now, my question would be, let's talk about animals. Okay, so the first question, let's talk about animals. Since the name is tiger parenting,
Oh, yeah.
right? There is a saying in Indonesia, sejahat-jahatnya harimau tidak akan memakan anaknya. And when my son is one of the one who adore Nat Geo, so he likes tiger and lion so much. So I asked him this morning, is there any animals that would abandon their kids since newborn? And he say, you know what? His first answer this morning, definitely not tiger. Let me tell you why. Because tiger, even though they are solitary in nature, but they will spend time with their cubs in their early lives, especially in the early lives. And they are very engaging in their parenting. They train their cubs to hunt, and they protect their cubs from danger. So, knowing about that, are we doing some justice to use the name of tiger in this parenting style? What do you think?
So I would say that the name of tiger parenting itself is not fully in line with the character of the tiger. So it's kind of like mischaracterizing the tiger a little bit from based on what you say. But there is also some other nuances on why it's called tiger parenting. Because if you look currently, there's a lot of terms for parenting, such as helicopter parent, the gentle parent, the dolphin parent, etc. So actually, another nuance of tiger parenting is that in Asian societies, especially, I think I mentioned it a little in my paper, especially in China and Korea, for example, the usage of tiger as a symbolism is very ingrained. For example, if I'm not mistaken, South Korea has like the rib of the tiger or the back of the tiger because of the shape of the peninsula resembles the tiger. So part of it is only focusing on the fact that tigers are wild animals. And some parents may, quote unquote, go wild when, for example, you have bad grades. Like, if you compare it, like their yelling can become like a tiger roaring because they're so like passionate about you having a bad grade and you should be punished. But if we really take the characteristic of the tiger as it is, I think it will be closer to what an authoritative parent characteristics is. But because of there's a lot of cultural histories and backgrounds, the tigers in the wild are mischaracterized into this single view that parents are damaging. This also, I think, translates to tiger parenting itself because from the outside, we only see that, oh, that poor kid, his mom is a tiger parent. But when we actually like live in the household, we see that there are actually sentiments that are at play. Like their mom is scared that their kid would fail. Their kid is hurt because their mom keeps pushing them. So there is also like something that we need to understand that needs to be delved in deeper, which is part of why I brought this thesis, because not many know that actually if you see a tiger child or a tiger parent, they're actually hurting on both sides.
Okay, thank you. So since you mentioned there is some nuance and sentimental in the mother's heart or in the parent's heart, why their manifested behavior looks like this tiger parenting, right? So that would lead to my another question then. Should we really let this tiger go extinct? Or actually what we need is this tiger to get tamed instead of extinct? I mean, like you've mentioned in your refutation that at least this tiger parenting do some goods. So the question is why proposing the tiger to go extinct? Why you are not talking about the neglectful parenting, let's say? Like talking back to the animals. So my son mentioned that shark should be blamed because shark, once they are giving birth, they will leave the baby in the oceans. No parenting given to the shark babies. Poor baby shark, the one that we saw. So why? Why would you think? I know that in your paper you say there is no winner. Definitely there are some loser. But why the loser is tiger parenting and not the neglectful parenting, let's say?
Okay. So first, I want to dive into why I didn't choose neglectful parenting. It's because I think you also taught me at some point that neglect is a form of abuse. And if I were to take on that topic as a part of my thesis, I would have to dive into the vast forms of abuse and why neglect can be so overlooked. But seeing that neglect has been labeled by this abuse, it will make people more aware, like, oh, this is abuse. But as I said before, tiger parenting is harder to determine whether they are actually at an abusive point or not, because it's hard to see, right? It's hard to see from like a 5-second interaction from you seeing a child get yelled at, why do you have a C in your grade report? And it can range to like yelling only, or like I said, the life story of Max Verstappen, which I mentioned a lot. His father was like borderline abusive towards him. So yeah.
That's true. So it's very subtle, isn't it?
Yeah.
I bet like if we hear about tiger parenting, maybe some parents would defend themselves saying that I'm not tiger parenting. Well, actually the word few behind underlying them could be adopting the tiger parenting. So good job for that there. So my next question is, your second proof say that tiger parenting is dangerous because it's parent focused. So are you implying to say that we'd better move to the child focused parenting? And the question is child focused parenting aligned biblically?
So I would say that I don't think the parenting should be incredibly parent-focused or incredibly child-focused, because I think that correlates again to the 4 main parenting types. I think the most parent-focused is authoritarian, while the most child-focused is the permissive. But then again, if we shift to an only child-focused biblic, child-focused parenting style, it doesn't necessarily align with biblical beliefs. Just like the parent-only parenting style doesn't align with biblical beliefs, because there's also some part in the Bible that tells us about respecting our elders, respecting, listening to our parents. But the Bible also tells us that we should have compassion, we should be forgiving, we should be wanting to move on from the things that hurt us, to be able to forgive your enemies and love your enemies even. So again, I think the middle way is that there is some focus on the parent, because the parents are also first-timers of parenting. And there's also focus on the child, because their child needs to be guided in order to become good people in the future.
So what's the center of parenting then?
I think the center of parenting should be on the household unit as a whole. Because when we think of the word family, family involves the parent and the child and maybe other relatives that live inside of it. So when the focus lies solely on one person, then the balance of it kind of becomes shifted or unfocused, because then this one person may feel burdened or maybe be narcissistic, while the others are less cared for.
Can I have one more maybe? Okay, my last one there. So we are talking about parenting style and what does it mean by successful parenting. So what do you think the meaning of to be a fully grown humans who live their life in all its fullness? Therefore, it will direct parents in doing their parenting practices.
I'm sorry, can you reword the...
So you're talking about the idea of what does it mean by success, how parent views the meaning of success affecting by the materialistic worldview. Therefore, that's what lead them to their parenting practices. One of them is the target parenting. So at the end of our discussion then, what does it mean to be a fully grown human that is success in our life and live our life in all its fullness?
I would like to say that as humans, we seek a fulfilled life, of course. But this fulfilled life does not only come from materialistic worldviews, right? I want to bring up a theory that I mentioned in my paper, the Robert Nozick's theory on the worth of a person. So he theorized that 50% of people are worthy simply because they are alive, if I'm not mistaken. And then 30% is because they are human. The rest of the 20% is the fact that they have skills or that they have a competency. So in order to become a fulfilled person, which is not the easiest to say, I would say that you have to pay attention to every aspect of your life, spiritually, materialistically, and you have to be able to know that you are flawed and seeking to be quote-unquote freed from it, whether it be by God or by community or by seeking fulfillment in something that you are passionate in. So I believe that even though maybe none of us here have reached like a fully fulfilled person, it is an everlasting process. We are always at the process of bettering ourselves. And by realizing, for example, that the target parenting worldview can do all of the things that I mentioned in my thesis and moving away from it, we are becoming one step closer to becoming a more fulfilled person.
Thank you, Dea. So let's redefine our word, right? Thank you. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Ms. Viola. So the truth is, we are already a minute and a half over, and I'm not going to make you answer my questions, though I have some really good ones. But
Oh, dang it.
but we'll call it now because time is up. Thank you, Dea. You did a great job. So so we'll have a little bit of a closing in a minute. But first, friends and family, panelists, advisor, please come up and let's get photos with Dea.